Right, so, one second before anything else. Hello? Can you hear me? I need to make sure that my audio is okay before we officially go live. It's not live until that one button is clicked. Alright, you can hear me, that's good. Next question is my audio quality is okay? Is there anything I can do to boost that before we go? Okay, well everyone, if you don't mind, I think we are ready to start. Uh, and with that, Steve, everyone, hello. How is everyone doing today? Uh, I see you've already unlocked one of my cool features. Um, the emojis spamming everywhere. You'll have to apologize. You'll have to excuse me if sometimes my mouth doesn't work right. I had butterflies in my stomach all day. You know, after having eaten them. So they kind of gummed the lips together. Díomh gach duine, díomh gach duine. Let me clear off some of these dice off the screen as well so you don't have to worry about those. How is everyone doing today? That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that we've got some gays around. Um so I suppose some introductions would be in order. Um it's Misha Kron. My name's Kron. And I am... Wow, my teeth really are stuck together. Let me see if I can't do anything about that. Just a moment now. And hopefully it should be a little better in just a tick. No idea why they're so stuck together. Give me just a moment to try figure that. Out open. Ah! Yeah, okay. This should do it. Hello! That's much better. Oh, and it's gone. I've accidentally sealed my mouth open. You'll have to pardon me. There's not many laptops out in the woods. This is just one I found on the side of the road. You know how it is. Give me a moment. I was trying to close something. I accidentally broke it. One second. I hate to see it, but it's so... When you're dealing with me, it happens all the time. Everything I everything I touch breaks. Now! That's better! Hi! Alright! Much better. And we're good as gold! So, again! Oh, wrong button! Hello, everyone! So like I was trying to say many times before everything started falling apart, it's Misha Kron. I'm Kron, I am a Puka, and I am your storyteller today, and your host. I am, Puka are a Irish fae creature. We usually... Oh! Hello! Thank you very much, Vertus Mori, for following. And look at me doing big proper VTubing. Pull the leaves out of the USB port. They're there to make it slide in better, you know? I needed them for to help with the friction. Something like that. Now, so Puka are a shape-shifting fae spirit from the woods of Ireland. As you can see, that's where I am right now. We are tricksters. We are scallywags and maggots. Everything we touch ends up falling apart, which is why this stream is obviously having so many technical difficulties. Forest Cutie. Ah, Jesus, you're gonna make me blush. Now, one second. So essentially, the fact of the matter is that we here in Erin have long had a tradition of storytelling. Writing's not really our thing. Um, so oftentimes that means that we kind of like tell our stories very verbally, and so we even have a name for the job of people who do that, the Shanachie. And I was raised a Shanachie. It's something my father was. It was something his father was. I'm not a man by any means, but certainly it's something that I'm doing anyway. Okay. So the way that this is going to work is, as a storyteller, everyone else has already told the old stories. I want to use, I want to tell new ones, and so I shall. I'm going to be doing lots of solo tabletop games, stuff like Call of Cthulhu, Wanderhome, which is what we're playing today. There's a few others I've got lined up. Colossal is one I'm very excited for. But today, like I said, we're going to be playing some Wanderhome. Wanderhome is... how do you explain it? It's a game that... It's very much so about going just from place to place. You don't really roll many dice. But the journeying you do is just as much physical as it is emotional. It's very much so about growing as a person, about going from place to place, etc., etc. Jesus, please us. We have 26 people here. Oh, welcome to the show, everyone. Oh gosh, I'm getting nervous, I am. Oh, thank you, Cadaver. Cadaver? Would that be a pronounce? Like, you know, like a... Oh, Jesus, it really is perfect time for this face. Anyway. Thank you very much for following. So... Along this journey, I'm probably going to ask you in the chat for different prompts every once in a while. A lot of this will be done through me drawing stuff. I'll be putting that up on the screen in my very nifty book. So I'll be drawing a lot, and you guys will be probably helping me where possible. So I'm going to start us off slowly. I'm going to open up the PDF. Oh, what a distraction! Thank you very much, NKMLN, for following. Now. And yes, chat, it is spelled Shankai. It's pronounced Shanaki, but, well, at least... Maybe it's not pronounced that. Maybe my family is just pronouncing it weird. Honestly, I pronounce so many different things weird. Yeah, it's not really a surprise. So this will have a lot of visual elements. Not just from, you know, me sitting here and talking to you. I'll be drawing stuff, like I said. Hopefully it looks great. A lot of sketches, so don't expect any masterpieces or anything. But while I'm slowly opening up Wanderhome, I'll be able to hopefully tell a very nice story for you. If I ever use slang that isn't really common outside of Ireland, do let me know. I don't exactly know what is or isn't like common out here, because I live here in the woods, eating moss and bugs and scones. I do like scones, but that's not really the point. That being said, I don't know if this will be just a one-shot, or if we will be doing this over a period of time. But I think I'm ready to start reading out the introduction and telling you how this stream is going to work. Is everyone ready to go? I'd say we are. And I'm going to just start by reading some of the extracts in this book, because I really think. Oh, thank you very much, Z Channel, for following. I think this is going to be. Yeah, the introduction is going to be just a few excerpts from the book, and hopefully I'm able to take you on a nice journey. Are we ready? Thank you very much, Hemlock VT. Right. Without further ado. The road has a song all of its own. Press your ear against my chest and you'll hear it. It is always with me, soaring across mountaintops and sleeping in the gutter where the small and forgotten gods live. It tangles through my hair and sits heavy in my boots. Some days the song roars through my bones louder than any storm, and other days it hums so quietly I could forget its. But I will always hold tight to it, and I'll throw on my cloak, grab my walking stick, and set foot once more. I trust a song. I trust a road. I trust that someday I will arrive at a town and lay down in the grass and know that this is where I was meant to be. The road is a river that carries me home. Inside this book that you hold in your hands is the start of a new journey. Together we'll set forth into a world of grassy fields, mossy shrines, herds of bumblebees, rabbits in sundresses, geckos with suspenders, starry night skies, and the most beautiful sunsets you can imagine. We will befriend stag beetles the size of houses, argue with the king of the floating mountain, fall in love in the basket of a hot air balloon up in the clouds, and make friends with some of the most amazing people you could ask for. The journey will continue across the months and seasons and years, and while we wander, we will watch the leaves fall from the trees and grow again. Where will we go? What will we see? We'll have to find out together. Will you join me? Every time I read that, it gives me tears in my eyes. Jesus, give me a second. Absolute masterpiece of prose. Now, let's talk a little bit about the land of Haed. That's Haeth. Unfortunately, us Irish people, at least me, I don't know again, have some difficulty pronouncing TH, as you may have noticed. So, Haed. That's how I'm going to be saying it. It is not my place to describe the entire history of the land of Haed. After all, it wouldn't make for a good journey if I were to tell you such a thing, before we even put on our shoes. Instead, I will simply mention that there are legends about this place that hang from the lips of every old shrew, a legend buried in every crevice of every stone. I will tell you there is a tale of the slobbering god, and the heaven blade used to kill her. I will tell you that there are stories of the lightning dancers and their twirling bodies, stories of the north wind god and the one brave mouse who stood against him. And there is too tales of great death that all dragons feared and faced. These tales live on in the land of the Haed, but they are not mine to tell. More importantly, there are some facts you'll need to know about the Haedland for your own journeys, and this may be the most important part of it all. The Haed is a beautiful and boundless land, full of life and soul. It is composed of small communities, separated by vast stretches of wilderness, and these communities are connected by dirt paths, waterways, and rare hot air balloon passages. Beauty lives in endless shapes and forms in the Haed. Everything in this land holds in the capacity to be appreciated and admired. Gods and spirits can be found everywhere, from the small forgotten gods hidden behind rocks and waves to the fish-headed crossroad daemons, and even the great sky gods themselves. The Haed is a land of animal folk. I've seen pigeon merchants, squirrel musicians, gecko fishermen, and at least one very distinctive bartending toad. In the Haed, you can't assume much about someone based on their look. Both meat eaters and herbivores are alike. are considerate and kind, and even the smartest mouse can have a lion's heart. The family of Zahid may look fairly similar to one another, or they may look wildly different, and frankly, it's none of your business to go inquire where familial lines end and begin. The Haid is full of buggy livestock, pets, and wild creatures. From herds of chubby bumbles to stag beetles the size of houses, from the strideers dancing across water to moonlit carrier moths carrying letters from tower to tower, bugs and animal folk living together in harmony. You'll encounter plenty of references to these buggy creatures throughout this book, and while they tend to do their best to make clear their look and role in the Haid, interpret generously and use your imagination to fill in the gaps. The Haid boasts a widespread culture of hospitality. A traveller who arrives in a new town will always be able to find some sort of lodging, even if it's sleeping in a barn with some bumbles, and will always be given food of some sort. There is, however, a trust with this hospitality. If you hurt or lash out at hosts, they'll have no problem kicking you out. But if you mean kind and well, you'll be welcomed with open arms. In the Haid, we'll be meeting people who are fundamentally good. This will not be true of all the places you go in your life, but on your journey contained within this book, nearly everyone can be trusted to be kind. The exceptions are the mighty, generals, lords, heroes, soldiers, and all those whose souls have become weighed down by power. While they may still be good, the goodness has likely been poisoned by struggle. Thankfully, folks of this nature are exceedingly rare nowadays, and most everyone knows to give these lonely conquerors a wide berth. Thank you, Trouser Mouse. The Haidland was recently caught in a war, but it is no longer. There is no violence here anymore. Now, one last excerpt now. Most books contain stories within them, and they often know where the story will go and what exactly will happen. But one must be careful with stories. They are violent and cruel things after all, full of heroes and villains and triumph and conquest. Stories are for kings and dragon slayers and the blood-soaked hungry blades. It is easy, I say, I have found, to seek to imprison the world inside our stories, to glorify the lives of powerful men, to celebrate their victories and mourn their tragedies. To build a reality where everything ties up neatly with a bow and everything makes sense. There is comfort in stories like these, disconnected from what it means to be alive. I'm not here for a story. I'm here for a journey. As we follow this book along its winding path, we will create characters, imagine new worlds, and take note of the passing seasons. This book is ours, born from our conversations and our dreams. As we journey, I will ask you to all an abundance of questions, and you will ask each other questions as well. These questions serve as our foundation. They give a voice to everything around us. As we ask questions, propose answers, make statements, and offer idle speculation, we'll develop our own Haid and build something that feels alive in our hands. As we travel together, future choices will contradict earlier ones. Narrative threads will crop up and be abandoned, and we'll get other brief snippets into matters far larger than any of us. We shouldn't let this from stopping us from committing hard to earlier decisions. And we can even find comfort in knowing we'll never know precisely what happened. On our journey, we must trust, in the end, that all the paths we've chosen were the right ones. Remember, no matter what we do, the road will carry us home. Now, how was that for an introduction? Did y'all enjoy story time? I'm glad yous did. Now, so, to start our journey, we're going to have to make someone to journey with. And this is where our adventure in my book starts. So, if nobody minds, I think we might be ready for me to go to the next page and start drawing. So, here we are! Welcome, everyone. So, this will be our canvas, and this is where we'll be drawn. This is where our story will be told. Sometimes things will be taken off the canvas, sometimes things will be put on. It really does depend on, well, what our adventure needs from us. Now, so let's start by trying to figure out some stuff about this person. So I'm going to skip ahead in this book a little bit. So some mechanics, just to let you know. There are actually fairly few mechanics. A lot of this game is just... How do you put it? A lot of the mechanics in this game are just storytelling, improvisation. The only time I'll ever be rolling dice is to randomly generate a new place. And even then, it won't tell me exactly what the new place is. It'll be an idea of a place. The people there will all be come up as we go. You lot will be helping me out. You'll be helping me come up with the people who populate these villages. I already have an idea for the character I want to make. So, before anything else, I will tell you about tokens. So, tokens are basically these, I suppose, points I can get or spend to push the story forward. I don't know if I'll be using them very often, because since I'm the only one here, if I want a story to go away, it'll just go that way. And sometimes that's fine. Thank you, Trouser Mouse. I've played it a little bit before, with some friends, and... Oh! Here's one of them now. There's another one of the Puka. Thank you very much, Irisol, for following. Great to have you. It's a fantastic game, and I'm really excited. So, we now have to start looking at our playbooks. Each playbook represents a specific kind of person you might find across the Haid. We use our playbooks to create our characters, which we will use to explore. This is not an exhaustive list of playbooks. Plenty of people have written their own, and if you search far and wide, I'm sure you can find playbooks that suit your needs. There are 15 within this book, and that should serve us for now. And even then, I'm not sure we will need to look through all of them. I have a fairly good idea of what I'm looking for. So the 15 are the Caretaker, someone who pays attention and tends to the small and forgotten gods, helping them find a home. The Dancer, who opens up all the magical and strange forces in the world, inviting them to dance and exist in the moment. The Exile, banished from their homeland, someone who travels through the Haid looking for somewhere that will take them in and help them heal. The Fool, an unused and unfamiliar person who is... Sorry, the Fool is unused to and unfamiliar with the complicated and tangled world outside, and approaches everything with the same naive optimism. The Guardian, who takes care of a ward, a young child with a difficult past and in desperate need of care. An Exile, or no, I've already done the Exile, I have. A Firelight, accompanied by a firefly that lights their path and helps guide people throughout the world. A Peddler, who transports supplies and wares from place to place, ensuring that every community has access to everything they need to survive. A Pilgrim, who is in search of a faraway place. A Poet, who's looking for the world to tell a story to them. The Ragamuffin, a little rascal of a child. A Shepherd, who tends to a herd of bumblebees, taking them from place to place. A Teacher, someone who's a traveling professor, visiting kids throughout the Haid to instruct them. A Vagabond, once convicted by faraway and cruel authority and been forced to reinvent themselves on the road. And a Veteran, a former hero and a soldier at the end of war that has long since passed. But the idea I would like to go with, if you're all willing, is the Moth Tender. The Moth Tender assists the carrier moths that fly across the Haid, delivering letters and parcels to everyone who needs them. So, this is essentially a postman who, rather than carrier pigeons or the likes, uses giant moths to fly through the sky. Not that they'll be flying, but I'm sure we'll get to that in a second now. Here we go. Moth tender. There we are. Carrier moths travel across the Haid, bringing news, letters, and tiny boxes. You wander the land, keeping an eye on these moths and their towers. You are alive. Your care is consistent, prompt, and arrives in small packages. Choose a name and some pronouns. Alright, so, name and pronouns. This I don't know. This I am unaware of. Oh yeah, by the way, what do you think of the... See how my hand can move? Class, isn't it? Woo! Now, let's see. So name and pronouns. Let's start there. I think a lot of these characters I might give Irish names. Just because it's simple, it's straightforward, and it fits with my vibe. So, I might go with Nullig. That's what's kind of coming out to me. Nullig. That's one of the months of the year. I suppose if you translate it into English, it would be Noel. Nullig. I'll go with that. So let me write that down so you can all see it. Oh, that's too tin. 1 second. There we go. Got my better pen now. That's Nullig. And Nullig's pronouns are going to be... Let's see, what pronouns? Nullig's traditionally a masculine name, but I don't see why it couldn't be used by a non-binary person. I could do Zizam, honestly. I could. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. No reason why they can't have some neopronouns. Or Z can't have some neopronouns. After all, something that is fantastic about Wanderhome is that they never actually use he, she, or they. Well, sometimes they use they, obviously. But they never use he or she in the book. They have several different pages where they have tutorials, and all the characters in it all use neopronouns and gender-neutral pronouns. Oh, shite, my dice are back. Pardon me. Oops, you didn't hear me say that? Thank you, sorry. So yeah, throughout the book, tutorials are all using neopronouns. You can tell that this was not written by a straight person. Now, there is nothing more gender than going on a little journey. So we have to choose an animal now. Let me go back to this thing. So we can choose a bat, a horse, a pigeon, a rabbit, a persistent animal, or a dogged animal. Let's see. What do you think Nullig might be? This is someone who is traveling a long way. And if it's to do with the mods, it might be for a reason. I suppose we'll get to the reason why Nullig is traveling in a little bit. Bats and moths are both nocturnal. A rat is possible too. I'm thinking this is going to be someone who's very determined. Z's a determined type, I find. I'd say a rabbit, but that might be a little bias coming from me. Yeah, I mean, like, look at my horns. I was thinking of sheep up in my head. I'm trying to figure... Not a pig. Pig it's too passive. This is a... Come on, keep throwing ideas my way. This is the part where I need your help. Because I have nothing about Nullig. Nothing whatsoever. All I know is that Z's a postman. Post animal. We'll get to it. Skunk in Ireland. No way. A deer could be nice. Or a sheepdog. Yeah. We've no possums in Ireland, I'm afraid. So I actually would not be able to draw one very well. Gray squirrel. No, if I'm gonna do a squirrel, it's gonna be a red squirrel, you know? Um, red squirrels are native to Ireland. The grey squirrels are an invasive species here. You know what? Yeah, no, it's gonna be a grey squirrel. Oh Jesus, now I have to draw a grey squirrel. Um, so like I said, we're gonna be kind of sketchy here. So Jesus, I'm doing this without looking at a picture of a squirrel, so it might not be perfect. I'm gonna give them a little hat. A little post hat of some sort. Okay. A little bit of fluff. Now, I'm thinking that Nullig here might work himself or themselves. Jesus, the music was the music caught me off guard, sorry. Z might be a I think Z might work a little too hard at times. I think Z might push themselves. So I'm thinking Z might even be like a like a slightly older type character. So I might give some extra fluff here and there. And nope, that's too hunched. They're still very proud. They still Z still acts like Z's at the top of their prime. Yeah. I'm just doing a few quick sketches. This won't be perfect, but he's got a little walking stick. Okay. Trying to figure out how to like make them look a little older, because right now they're very young looking. So they might have slightly more heavy eyelids. I'm not sure about Squirrel. I'm not sure about Squirrel. But here's the good thing about Wonderhome. It's alright to change your mind. So I don't know if Squirrel fits. Squirrel is too energetic, too young a creature. I think Nullig here is an older fellow. I don't know if if he's so old who have fought in the war, but he certainly has family who did. So I'm not sure about a badger. A badger. Wonderful. Absolutely perfect. That is the exact right animal. And of course we have to go European badger. Because I actually know a few badgers. They live relatively close to me. Let me see. I've seen the badgers that these Americans have. They don't look anything like the ones we have. Our badgers are nice, kind gentlemen, except, you know, don't put your fingers near badgers. They're better off if you leave them to themselves. So he's got kind of, let's see. I think Z's a little grumpy as a figure. There we go. And I'm just going to color them in. Okay. And a nice nose there. It's not that Z's an unkind person. I think Z is just... I think Z takes their job very seriously. Still needs to have the little hat. Alright. I think Z's middle age. I think Nolag is maybe like in their 50s. Alright. Z does have the walking stick as well. Anyway, because Z needs it, especially with the amount of walking that Z does. Big old bag on their back. Alright, 1 second now. He's got a little belt. This thing is absolutely stuffing. This is much better. This is exactly what I was looking for. Okay, 1 second. Just adding some details now. And just a moment, because I did get a notification on the Owl phone now here. So let me check that, because I think it was something having to do with all this. Now, Rem, I see you now. Thank you very much for the donation, Rem. It means so much. And you're the first one in the stream. I've got to thank you twice. I should be the one donating to you today. So thank you very much, Rem. Now, let me move Nolag up a little bit in this frame so you can see them a little better. Okay. And Z does have a fluffy tail. Jesus, please, I nearly forgot. Okay, so that's that. Okay. And I think that means their staff can be a little bit lower down too. Alright. And I think that's Nolag. There we are. Nolag is a European badger. Z's is Zem. Let me put these off to one side. We have more room to draw in a second. Is that still in the shot? Let me check now in a moment. Just pushing stuff down. How's this? Yeah, perfect. Nolag, the European badger. So we now need, oh Jesus, I kind of jumped ahead. I need to choose 2 that my job asks me to be, and 2 that I actually am. So, out of this list, it's calm, trusting, curious, proper, studious, cheerful, blunt, strong, and pretty. Why would this job need you to be pretty? Alright, so I think that Nolag here is indeed blunt. And Z is indeed strong. I think those 2 we can say pretty fairly when you look at Nolag. Z is both of these things. 1 moment now. Pardon me. Now, sorry. Had a bit of a technical mishap for a moment. Wonderful. Now, meanwhile, I don't think Nolag is particularly cheerful. That's a lesson that Z's gonna have to learn. Nolag is here to do their job and not much else. And I think Nolag is not particularly trusting. I don't know why not, but I don't think Nolag exactly trusts everyone that Z meets. Um, Now, we have to choose 3 to 4 to describe our look. Ah, sure, look, we've already designed the feckin' character. um, yeah, he's had a hard life. Well, okay, I mean, we can add some extra stuff on. A shining lantern. That's something that Z could have on their person. Small reading glasses. I can deal with that, yeah. Let me see. A deep sense that you're in over your head. Yeah, I think Z's got that. And a well-worn moth-tending uniform. Okay, so there we are. We've got everything we need. And now, so we have to choose one you would devote your life to protecting, and one that's in danger of falling apart. And I have to tell you about it. So, they've given me a list here, and I'm just gonna, instead of reading them all out to you, I'm just gonna choose the one I think fits Nollaig the best, if that is alright by everyone. So... Okay. Okay, one moment now. Okay. So, I'm not going to tell you too much about them, because I think they'll be revealed in play. But Z has a single letter. And this letter is absolutely gorgeous. It has like a few flowers sticking out from it. It is only the finest paper, and it looks quite old. And I think that Nollaig is very protective of it. This letter. On top of that, that is so that's the one thing that Nollaig would give their life to protect. On top of that, I think that the thing that is in danger of falling apart. So I said earlier, I don't think Nollaig fought in the war. I think when Nollaig was young, Nollaig did fight in the war. And it is a pink orchid, constantly reminding you of the promises you made to your fellow revolutionaries. So back in the day, Nollaig was a freedom fighter. He was a rebel. Now I have to get a picture of an orchid to draw this. This flower that Nollaig keeps pressed in a notebook in their bag was a promise. A promise that Z would never give up and never stop fighting the good fight. Even when the war was over, that Nollaig would keep going. Unfortunately, time hasn't necessarily been kind to Nollaig, I don't think. And I think Nollaig has not forgotten. I don't think Nollaig has forgotten. 1 second, these are a little bit too high up on the screen for you. I'll shrink this down just a touch. There you go. How's that? Is that better? It's still a little bit too high. But I don't think Nollaig is quite as idealistic as he was when he was a kid. Nollaig here doesn't care about any of that anymore. He just sticks to doing this moth tendon. For better or for worse. I think something happened to shake Nollaig a little bit. And He's never necessarily been the same. So, I have to bring 3 letters or packages that I'm carrying with me. So these are 3 things I'll have to deliver on my journey at some point. So, oh Jesus. I'm going to choose... Huh. That is interesting. There's some interesting stuff in here. Okay. Okay. So these are our objectives, as it were. These are the things that we need to deliver. So we have an envelope stuffed with a whole village worth of care. So it's bulging. It's taped together in places. And it's practically, like, even holding it, you know that it is filled with coins. And this is going to... Let me see. This is going to be going to a cheerful young rabbit who has moved into the big city. Like, let me write this down so that I don't forget our objectives. Okay. So that's our first package. Next, I think I'm going to do... I'm gonna do a scroll of ancient and mysterious magic. Oh, that's, So this is going to be a scroll, which is going to be given off to some person. That person, I think, is a witchy shrew deep in the Miremuck swamp. Okay. And this witchy, a witchy shrew in the Miremuck swamp. Okay, and I'm gonna have to reduce the size of these in a second because this last thing that I'm gonna add, I'm very excited about, but it's gonna need a little bit more space than everything else. Because I'm gonna need your help again, everyone. This one is going to a lost kid that you're helping escape from a bad situation. It's a child. And this child is one we're going to help deliver. Somewhere that they need to go. Now, we're going to have to make another character here. Um, what are we going to call him? I think Patter. Patter's a good name. I'm going to throw Patter down here. Now, what do you think Patter is? That's my question. Thank you very much for following Spice Kids. Spice Kids? Spike Skit? That's the word. Anyway. Patter. I'm not sure what Patter is. Some sort of small, vulnerable animal. Yeah, that much is true. Hmm. I'm not sure. A baby deer would be very cute. Oh, a lamb is also good. We could do our red squirrel now, yeah. I don't know what Patter is. Let me see. Well, see, here's the thing. Tricky slide. The bugs in the Haid are livestock and animals. So, like, when you, instead of cattle, you'd have insects. So making Patter a bug... I'm not sure. But I do like the idea of Patter being a young deer. So let me see. Oh, feck. I shouldn't have zoomed. I was not supposed to zoom. Ah, yeah, you're grand. No, yeah. He'll be a deer. And now I have to look up fawn. See what they look like. Ah, sure, they're babies, they are! Heckin' tiny. Okay. Adder. Big owl ears. Little... Okay. I think he's well dressed. A little few spots here and there. Okay. And you gotta give Patter some suspenders. Classic ragamuffin. Classic ragamuffin. Alright. Little fluffy tail. There we go. That's Patter. How is he looking, lads? Okay. I'm sure Patter would love to. I'm going to use he, him pronouns for Patter. He hasn't exactly done much thinking now about gender. But who knows what will happen on this journey. He is a lost child. So, lost actually means something here. It gives a whole set of stuff that you can and can't do. So, if you'll do me just a favor. A lost child has forgotten how to get back home. They are often lonely travelers, confused prophets, and those dissociated from this world, among others. So, Patter can always do one or two of these. Wander deep in the darkness, express the disconnect between yourself and the world around you, or seek out the help of someone else to anchor you. So, I don't think he often does much wandering. But he does, I think... No, I think he will. He can wander. And he can seek help. That's the two things that Patter does best. I think... Okay, I think we'll figure something out in a second, where vis-a-vis why Patter is here and what he's doing. Hmm. Paddor did not have a good life. Unfortunately, lost is a traumatized trait for characters to have. So, this is going to be fun. Now, let me see. Nullig, nullig, nullig. Alright. And where is Paddor going? To a chill old farmer and a big family. Maybe. That might be. The proper mayor of a hidden village. Jesus, who could take Paddor in? Oh! Oh! Okay. I think I know, and I'm not going to tell you exactly. But we're going to put down grandfather. I said that Nullig was maybe 50 earlier, but I think Paddor Nullig is now, I'm saying, probably in his 60s. Like, the war was quite a while ago. I'm gonna draw a couple of mots because we don't have them down yet. And I think that's terrible. Okay. Grand. So some things that I can always do. I can always follow the mots. I can always fidget. I can always write something down on a piece of paper. I can always tell everyone what phase of the moon it is. And I can always say, ask if you heard news. And I can always deliver a letter. Okay, that's a little scribbled down in the corner, but that's okay. I'm sure you don't mind. Okay. All right. Wonderful stuff. Now, give me a second. Sorry. I accidentally opened up something that I shouldn't have. All right. I think we're good to go. So if you'll give me just a moment, let's bring those dice back, and no, we won't do the dice quite yet. I don't think we need the dice to start our first place, because this is just where our journey starts. Is everyone ready for the adventure itself to begin? I need to see some yeses in the chat before I start going. All right. Wonderful. Now, I think our journey starts, and I'm going to one moment. I might take away this particular panel for just a moment, and just start writing down places we've been, and maybe like little sketches, so we can make a little map of our journey. You know. So if you'll just give me a second. Now, put away these lot for a moment. But I think the town that we start in is literally just called Home. Home is... It's a nice town. I think it's like nestled among hills. Um, Not exactly a massive town, but it's scenic, you know? I think the clouds hang low over the town, and but never like completely cover it. There's always some hope here at home. And this is the town that Patter is Patter not Patter. We're looking here at Nullug, sorry. Home is where Nullug is from. And I think our story starts on a day like any other day with Nullug in the back of the post office. He's sorting through a few letters. Same as he always does. Head down. There's a lot of letters that have gone undelivered because of how far away they are from anywhere else they would need to be. And I think he kind of like looks at them and grunts a little bit as he passes his hand over it and keeps working. And I think as he is working, someone enters. And I think this figure is... Oh, Jesus. What's... I think he's a mole. I think he's a mole. He's another postman, and his name is Kieran. And Kieran kind of like hobbles his way in. He's even older than Nullug is. I think big thick glasses that magnify his already tiny eyes, and I think he kind of like clears his throat. Nullug kind of like looks up and like, "What is it now?" And Kieran says, "Nullug, I wanted to talk to you about something just for a moment now. If that's all right with you. We've had a bit of a situation. I'm sure you." And I think Nullug kind of like raises one of his bushy eyebrows, squinting a little bit, like, "Wanso? What is it? What do you want?" And kind of shuffling out from behind Kieran comes small boy. He looks tired, very tired. His eyes are big and wide, but it doesn't look like he's gotten much sleep in the last few days. And he kind of like looks up at Nullug and doesn't really say anything else. And Nullug looks back down, kind of like taking a beat to realize what's happening here. And he looks at the kid and he looks at Kieran and he says, "What's all this then? What are you doing here?" And Kieran says, "Well, now, Nullug, did you not read the paper? You're always so punctual about keeping up with the news. We had a bit of an accident last night, didn't we?" And the kid kind of like nods a little bit. He looks fairly distressed. And Nullug kind of like looks back and says, "It is young ones involved." "Yes, this is Patter. He is he's a child of Moore and Dan." And for a moment, there was like a moment, like there's a glimmer of recognition in Patter's eye, in Nullug's eye, that is quickly dissipates, you know. And Nullug kind of like tenses up and says, "What happened?" And Patter kind of like looks down at his feet and says, Mommy and Daddy, they passed on last night. There was a fire. Took them both. And I think there's like a moment of silence between Kieran and Nolig. From this like frank, like very frank words from a small child. And Nolig kind of like glances back to him and says, for goodness sake, listen, young one, I'm sorry. That's terrible. And Patter kind of just sniffs a little bit, rubbing at his nose. And Kieran looks up and says, listen. The young one's got nowhere to stay. He's not going to be able, no one here is going to have the means to keep him where he is for long enough to, properly raise a young one. And I think there's like a look of suspicion on Nolig's face for just a moment. And he says, and so? And Kieran kind of like waves a claw hand a little bit, like, Nolig, you know yourself. Back in the day, you were good friends with Dan's father. And I think Nolig very much so tenses up. Because that was during the war. That was during the war. And I have not spoken to him since, and I don't intend on speaking to him again. Besides, as far as I know, that man good as dead. And I think he says that, and then like there's a moment of a pause where everyone kind of like Kieran and Nolig both turn and like glance at Patter. A little bit like, oh, we shouldn't have said that. I think Nolig just kind of exhales as Patter doesn't really react. He says, you can hardly expect me to be going halfway across the Hade. I've got jobs here. The young one will have to take a coach or something. There's people who can take them. Firelighters, lamp people, whatever they're called. Them with the fireflies. I've got my job here at home. And I'm staying here. And I think, again, Patter isn't really saying much, as it were. Kieran kind of exhales and says, look, Nolig. The way it is home is a small town. There's only so many people in here. You don't need 2 postmen to be delivering to a whole town. But what we have here, the young one who needs your help. You're uniquely situated to find this man's grandfather and to get him somewhere safe. I think Nolig is kind of just like grumpily turning away and says, I won't do it. And Kieran's like, Patter kind of like tugs on Kieran's shirt and says, it's alright if you later on. I'll go find somewhere else to stay. I can like take a rucksack and walk. Like, now, no, you don't listen to that now. Patter will go, or Nolig will go. He simply needs to make his way out, actually do it. Give me just a moment to talk to him. Kieran kind of like makes his way behind the desk towards Nolig and puts a hand on his shoulder, looking up with those big mole eyes, and says, look, Nolig, I understand you. The war was a terrible. I know it as well as you. I never fought in it, but I saw many people. It's been 40 years. Nulg kind of grunts and says, not that I not have to move on, it's just I don't want to be going talking to my old co-workers, as it were. I'm happy here at home, and I'm not gonna go walking all the way through the Haid for just a child. You can find someone else to do it. Kieran kind of like glances back at Patter, who is inching towards the door. And he turns back to Nulg and says, but you won't be traveling just for him, would you? Kind of like toddles around, like to the other side of Kieran, of Nulg, and says, this. And it's a little pile of undelivered letters. Some of these haven't been delivered because they're too far away. But some of them, kind of says, and his hand kind of pushes over a perfumed letter, a particularly like well-kept one with flowers pressed into it. Some of them have just been kept here because you don't want to deliver them. And I think Nulg reaches over, snatches it, and Z snarls and says, listen, no right to be going through my stuff. Understand, Kieran? You may be old, but you're not too old to get a box. Now, listen. I'm not doing it. I think Kieran, unflinching, kind of looks up at Nulg and says, but you will. It's time to start moving again, Nulg. Those old feet were never meant to stay in one place. You're a wanderer at heart. This child needs someone to wander with him. You take these old letters. You take yourself, take that young man, and you find where you need to go together. Alright? And I think Adder kind of like looks over his shoulder at, or Nulg looks over his shoulder at Patter, and he takes like a few seconds. He exhales and goes, oh, for goodness sake. Right, young one! And Patter kind of like looks up, a little bit surprised, says, when's the earliest you can be leaving? And kind of clears his throat and says, well, I've not much to pack, so I can like leave whenever. And now he's like, there's no time called whenever. I'll set the date so. You come here tomorrow morning, crack of dawn, 6 a.m. Come with me, and we're gonna start walking. We're gonna go to the other side of the Haid looking for your good-for-nothing grandfather. And we'll get you there, and I'll walk all the way home. How does that sound? And I think Adder is a little surprised. You would be too if you'd experienced all this. But he nods. He nods and says, yes, sir, Mr. Nulg. This is not a mister, not a man. Let's not be forgetting that now. Post Badger? Post Badger will do fine now. So, crack of dawn. Make sure to pack some bread or something. Go beg on the streets for it or something. And Adder, although he looks a little bit taken aback by the bluntness of this Badger, kind of smiles and says, absolutely, Post Badger. And with that, he kind of like makes his way out. Kieran kind of smiles and wraps his hand against Nulg's shoulder and says, now, was that so hard? And Nulg kind of like takes a moment, glancing at those undelivered letters, and says, harder than you'd realize. Look, I better get some rest. I've got a long walk to go on tomorrow. So I think we're gonna go to the next day. and we see Nullig, and we see Nullig, and we see Powder, both of them out on the road, and they're just leaving. They're just leaving home. I think it's very awkward to start. Powder is not much of a conversationalist. Nullig's not even a conversation. I keep getting their names mixed up. I'm sorry. Ah, there's another one of the Pookie that I played Wander Home with for the first time a while ago. Great to see you here, Final G. Now, I think the two of them don't share many conversations at first. I'm sure neither of them are honestly in a position to. Powder is reeling from the loss of his parents, and Nullig is Nullig. It's a quiet road at first, and I think this is when we are going to generate our first location and figure out what month we are in. So, let me see. I'm gonna start looking now. This is where our game mechanics finally start kicking in. Although the game mechanics are very loosey-goosey, as it were. So I'm looking, and I'm finding them. Alright. So, we're going to start with, Jesus, please, give me just a moment. Alright. Sorry. I need to refamiliarize myself with this a little bit. Specifically the book. Now, because we're going to be basically rolling a couple of dice and using those dice to prompt locations that we go to. And then from there, we will tell stories about the places we go as the months and seasons change. So every time we go to a new place, we're going to be going through a different month and a different season. There are 5 seasons in the year. Bright, which has 2 months. Bloom Meadow, when fields and trees are covered in flowers. And Devil Days, a month of relaxation, sleep, and escape from the burning heat. There's the season of Breed. That's B-R-E-A-T-H. Or Brett, I suppose it would be. A quieter respite from the harshness of Bright, with the months of swarming with many, many bugs coming up from the earth. And Gatling, the shortest month and a month of cold nights but hot days. Then we've got the season of Silt, where the first month is Firetop, where all the trees turn red and orange and it's customary to light bonfires. Then Grasping, when the leaves fall from the trees and the plants look like hands grasping for the air. Finally, there's the season of Chill, with a month of Snow Basket, when the world goes quiet and calm under heavy snow, and the month of Frostbite, when the air is bitter and dreadfully cold. So, that'll be great. Let me see. I'm gonna start generating that first place. And I think we will start fairly simple in the year. We're just gonna start with the month of Bloom Meadow in the season of Bright. So very early on in the year. But not so early that it's still cold. It might still be cold. Now, if you'll give me just a second. So, there are 6 types of, 6 types of natures, and each nature has 6 subtypes. And we're going to choose three places, and combine them together into one place. So, I'm going to start rolling our 6d6. Bring Bring back the dice. And roll them. Alright, that's a 2, a 5, and a 3. So it'll be a verdant place, a lonely place, and a liminal place. Alright. So let me quickly write those down so I don't forget it. Just for the moment, we'll rub this off in a moment. So it's going to be verdant, lonely, and liminal. And it'll be in the season of Bloom Meadow. Okay. So, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly take this onto its own layer, and we're going to hide that for a moment so that we have a proper full brainstorming page. Wonderful. Okay. So now I need to roll another 3d6, and we are going to start generating places from it. Let's see. That's going to be a 6, a 6, and a 2. So the verdant place is going to be a swamp. The lonely place is going to be a wilderness. And was it a 2 as well? It was. Okay. And the liminal place is going to be an island. Okay. Now we can start generating a place from this, and this will be the first place that Nullag and Patter go to. So, let me see now. So, this island. An island is a place kept secret and separate from the rest of the Haid. So, this place can always describe the comfort of an isolated world, show conflict caused by isolation, or give someone a token when they respect this place's difference. So we're going to choose 2 aesthetic elements. I think I'm going to start this fairly simple. There's going to be a little island here. And it has a hidden secret. Or it's got something on it. But it's also got a concealed entrance. Which I will say we'll talk about when we get to it. Okay, that's the island. And there's going to be folklore about this place. And I'm going to write down each of these so they can come up when we're playing. The cave where the storms stay at night. Okay, so that's our first little piece of folklore. Each place that we go will have 3 pieces of folklore. This is the first one. Next, we are going to look for a wilderness. Or a swamp, whichever one comes up first. Let me see. So, a wilderness is a place that holds nature close to its heart, closer than any mortal that dwells within. So, we can always describe something massive, sublime, and uncaring, show the challenges caused by living with nature, and say, get out of the way, and give everyone who does a token, as some thundering force nearly strikes them down. So, I think this place is really, like, there are hills around home, but this place is just, like, full of hills. And this particular island is just kind of nestled in the middle of those same hills. Okay. And we can two aesthetic elements. I'm going to say that there is something bigger than you've ever imagined. I think nestled within those hills, there is a single statue that towers over the hills by quite a lot. It's like insanely large, and I think it shows a creature. I think it's a What kind of animal do you think it is? I need an animal that you think would be in this giant statue in the swamp and the hills. What's a good creature? Maybe a lizard of some kind? Perhaps a giant frog? What do you all think? I kind of like the idea of it being a giant frog, yeah. I think I'm gonna do a giant frog. And it just kind of like... It like sits atop the hills. Like kind of towering over them, and it's like such a massive statue. It's insane that this thing could even exist, you know. And I think that coming out from the mouth of this frog is a waterfall. It's a truly pristine waterfall, which then kind of comes out here into the swamp. And I think I'm going to write that this is commonly known to the people around as the god of all the forests. Or maybe the god of all the hills here. Maybe no, the god of all the swamps, because this is a swamp. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And lastly, we have to look for a swamp. And I can tell you a little bit about this. Let's see. So a swamp is a place where the air is as thick as mud. Okay. So the air is as thick as mud. So this place can always describe the heaviness of the world, show a tension caused by stagnation, or bog someone down. And there's a heavy fog, I think, throughout this whole area. And I think, yeah, I'm not going to tell you about the other thing because that's going to be a spoiler for what we're going to do here. But I am going to write that this is... there's rumors here of the treacherous lights deep in the bog. Alright, and we need a name for this place. So it's kind of like a swamp situated in the middle of like the hills, with a giant statue of frog from the mouth of which comes a waterfall. The frog bog is a little on the nose, and a swamp is very different to a bog, I'll have you know. Huh. Bogshire is kind of well. It's not really a shire, is it? I do like Mog though. Mog is a nice way of putting it. I think the Moglins would honestly be pretty good. Yeah, the Moglins. That's what we'll put. And one moment, I'm just going to... I'm going to copy and paste this. And this will be going onto our journey map. But we're going to tell the story of this place first. Forms. Moment. Okay. Wonderful. There we go. Oh, Moghaven, though. I'm going to go with Moghaven. That's a very good suggestion. Thank you very much. Alright, I think we can jump back to our characters now. So, lastly, I just want to check the season that it is, and make sure that no special thing is happening. So, the month is Bloom Meadow. So Bloom Meadow is the first month of bright when all the flowers bloom and pollen fills the air. So right now, there is going to be there's not really time to so basically I have to choose one thing that this place lacks, and then all the others are present. So I think there is probably time to relax and probably sunny skies and the occasional soggy day, but I don't think there's much good cheer in Mog. It's kind of an oppressive atmosphere. And some signs that the month have found this place. I think there are 3 to 4 signs of the month. Let's see. I think there's certainly flowers. I think there's a lot of flowers. Bright yellow and white flowers. Soft pink and turquoise flowers. I think the flowers are really the only sign that Bloom Meadow has come to Moghaven. Otherwise, it's very much so a kind of quiet, empty place. And this is where we're going to start. Yeah, I'll just take these dice off the screen for you now, and we can start describing our companion's adventure here. So, our Nullig and Patter have been on the road for some time now. I think it's probably been a few days, and Nullig has not been particularly chatty. Patter has not been particularly chatty. I think this suits both of them fine. But I think it's as they're passing through here that Patter is kind of like suddenly taking his first steps into the fog, kind of pauses and says, "What is this place?" And Noah kind of he doesn't even respond at first, because he just kind of like keeps walking and says, "Hills, I suppose. Keep walking. You don't want to take too long." And Patter kind of like looks around curiously, really surprised that such a place can exist so close to home. And I think kind of like glances and he sees something up in the hills as they're walking, and he points up and says, "Post Badger Nullig, what is that?" And he points up into the sky, and up there, close to like one of the tallest peaks, is that massive statue. And I think even Nullig is a little taken aback by this. He pauses. "Oh, Jesus. That thing sure is massive, isn't it?" And the two of them take a moment of like quiet as they look up. And Patter kind of like nudges Nolan and says, "Do you know what that is?" And Nolan kind of like shakes her head a little bit. He says, "Listen, young one. I don't know a lot about places around home. I mostly keep to myself. But what I do know is, as far as I remember, there are some religions around here. That would be a great god. They call him the god of all the swamps." And Nolan kind of like, or Patter kind of like widens his eyes a little bit and says, "The god of all the swamps? Ah, is it a real god?" It might be. As he kind of like starts walking back through the ground, which is progressively getting softer. "It might well be. As far as I know, the story goes that once upon a time, with the great and powerful gods that lived among these lands long ago, there was a particular one, and his name was Grula. And Grula here was a massive frog, size of a mountain. And where he would eat to his heart's content, too much for his own tummy to handle, before eventually he'd get sick. And as he got sick, the water he spewed out from his mouth would always be more putrid than that of the sea, and less clean than that of the river water. It was here that the first swamps were made. Of course, the more and more that Grula ate, the more and more that he would start to make more swamps. There came a time where he was not willing to see any more swamps. Well, at least his people weren't willing to see any more. So, eventually, someone had the great idea of having him stay in one of his own swamps. And sure look, worked. Seeing the devastation and wreckage that his own folly brought, he was so shocked that Grula turned to stone. Now here he must sit, overlooking all the swamps he's ever created from atop his high perch. Must be a tragic thing. See the devastation that your own hubris has wrought. Don't you agree, young one? Young one? For blazing frogs! Kind of like turns around and realizes that he's been separated from Patter as he was storytelling. And he kind of like looks around saying, "Young one! For God's sake, where do you go? Young one!" Starts like kind of like making his way, like, you know, his staff splashing into the mud a little bit. And as he's moving, he hears a voice kind of like echoing through the swamp a little bit. And it's the voice of themselves. Nullag is hearing their own voice. "Just this way now, young Patter. A little bit deeper. Come on now. I know you can follow." And hear Patter's voice as well. "Postbadger, are you sure this is the right way? It's getting all sticky in the ground here." And Nullag kind of like, their eyes widen, and as he says, "Young one! For bladen's sake, what are you doing?" And he kind of storms through, and nearly like trips a couple of times through the swampy water, before like suddenly landing face down in the muck and pulling themselves up. It's like, "Oh, for God's sake!" And as he looks up, there's Patter. And Patter kind of like looks back at Nullag and says, "Postbadger, what are you doing there in the muck? I thought you were ahead of me." And Nullag pulls themselves up and says, "Goodness sake, Were you never taught not to wander off like that? Um, and I think Patter kind of looks and says, "No, but I'm sure I heard your voice from over there." And Nolan kind of like slowly gets up. Oh, my back! Ah! No, that wasn't me, obviously. I was over there telling you about the god of all the swamps. Did you not catch any of it? And, poor Patter's like, no, I heard you telling me that you would show me more if I went this way. And Nolan kind of like through the mud, walking cane denting in. He kind of like looks and sees that Patter was only a few feet from a deep like pool of water with coiling worms inside the water, kind of like swimming in circles. And obviously Nolan's eyes kind of widen and says, Jesus, young one, you're nearly food for the worms there now. Look! And he kind of points in, and Nolan, Patter kind of like leans and says, Holy Mary, Joseph, all the rest of them. But why were you telling me to go this way? I wasn't telling you to go that way. For goodness sake, you're being tricked by some wandering spirit. Places like these are always full of them. You can't trust them. Now you, as he kind of like takes Patter's hand and kind of like goes through her pocket a little bit and pulls out a piece of string and says, I'm going to tie my hand around its wrist. See that? I'm tying that. I'm giving it the other hand to you. You hold on to this string. You don't take your eyes off me. Places like these are mad dangerous. Are you listening? Oh, for God's sake, Patter! And Patter kind of like, ugh. As Z looks and... Or, sorry. Patter uses him. Patter looks and says, Oh, do you see that over there? And just beneath the surface of the water, kind of obscured because of the worms, there's some stepping stones. And Nolan kind of squints to this. Jesus, I don't know. Look, Patter, we're not going to be doing anything risky now. You are going to come back with me. We're going to get out of here, yeah? And Patter kind of looks up at Nolan, eyes nice and wide before he says, Curiosity will kill me if I don't. Just 2 seconds, I'll be fast. And he lets go and once again departs into the fog. And as you can imagine, Nolan is none too pleased. Nolan points and says, get back here! And so Patter, the fawn, starts skipping from stone to stone, and Nolan the badger very awkwardly also trying to skip from stone to stone. And as they move, suddenly, as Patter jumps onto the last stone, there's kind of like a shaking, and an island starts to like kind of like clear through the mist. And compared to like the swampy nature of the rest of this place, this island it's different. The grass is longer, but it looks cleaner. There's like mossy rocks with no sign of like erosion from the swampy air. It's like a weird clearing almost cut into the middle of the fog. And Patter turns to Nolan and says, Look, Nolan, it wasn't that the spirit was trying to trick me into falling into the water. It was leading us here. And Patter skips off from the rock and through like a whole clearing of flowers. Like there's a lot of flowers here, typical for the month of Meadow Bloom. Or Bloom Meadow? Yeah, it's Bloom Meadow. Um and Nola kind of like, oh, pops and trips again, landing only on her knees this time, as she stands and looks off as Nullig is surprised to see this place is really clean. And really empty. Aside from a single thing in the middle of the swamp. And it seems to be a gravestone of some kind. Just here in the middle. There we go. I'm throwing it in properly. It's like a gravestone, but like a tall standing one. With an inscription in it. And it's in a really, really old dialect. And Patter kind of like skips through it, through the flowers, as he kind of like drops to his knees. And like, this is probably the liveliest Nolik has seen him since his adventure started. And he says, "Look at that! We found some secrets! What do you think? What is this place? What does it say?" And Nolik kind of like stomp, stomp, stomp through the flowers, no care for it. He's a little cranky. He kind of looks and says, "Sure, that's in an old tongue. Seen this used in years. Let me see if I can make it out." And he kind of like makes their way up to the tombstone, and it is clean. There's no moss on it really. Z kneels beside Powder and squints at it and starts like running out like a big badger paw over the inscriptions. And Z bites her lip and says, "You know, I actually do think in memory of all those who lost their homes to the floods of Gru." And Zika looks down at Patter and says, "You know, I don't know if that was a trickster spirit. I think that may have been maybe the departed who wanted to show you somewhere new." And Patter is just grinning openly. Clearly like pretty happy about this. And says, "So it's a ghost." And Alex says, "I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I know what it is. But it's something. And it wanted you to come here, young man." He kind of like looks around and he says, "Well, Jesus, this is probably as good a place as any to go. Stay up for the night. I'm not going to be going out into any of the caves nearby. I don't trust them. Local legends say that the caves are full of monsters that caused all the storms in the world." And Powder's like, "Is that true?" Like, "I don't know. Could be. Not entirely sure. But for now, let's get some rest." And so, rest they do. They deploy their campfire, and for the first time since the journey started a few days ago, it's nice. The two of them have built some kind of camaraderie. Now, we're going to take a quick pause. I need a bio break. We will take maybe 5 minutes before we start moving on to our next place, and our next month as we see where the journey of Nulligan Patter goes next. I hope you're all enjoying. Thank you all very much. Let's take a quick pause. Right. Hello. 1 second now. Hi. Okay. Um, Hello everyone. Thank you for that quick break. I just need to stretch my legs, crack my back, all that stuff. 1 second. Let's take a quick cup of tea before anything else. Um, so how's our music now? I was told it was a little quiet, so hopefully this is all right now. Um, is this okay? Or should I turn it up, turn it down? What do you all think? Okay. The fact you can hear it is an excellent start. Are you all enjoying your adventure with Crown? Well, me, yeah. But, with Patter and with, Nullig so far? Because I'm certainly having a great time. Good bit of crack. Sorry, that's Irish slang. Good bit of fun. um, Thank you very much, Sally. Now, okay, I think we're good to keep going. We've been maintaining about 17 people throughout the entire stream. That's fairly incredible. Thank you all so much for sticking around. We won't go on for too much longer. I think these streams are probably best broken up nicely. But I want to go to another place. I want to take us somewhere else. So let's start hopping, shall we? And I'm bringing us back to and I'm bringing that down. Now, that's Moghaven. And we spent a long time walking in Moghaven. And I'm gonna reduce that size. And I'm gonna reduce the whole thing in size a little. So we have. Oh, that wasn't right. Let me see now. Wonderful. So Moghaven and home, I think, are fairly close to one another. Let's start figuring out where they are going to be headed next. So we're going to bring back our dice. Hoopla. And let's roll them. Okay. A tree. Oh, someone's followed. Let's get into that before I get into anything else. Thank you very much for following. Oh gosh, I've lost the name now. Queen Sheila of the Vampires. Oh Jesus, the vampires. We've got a few of those around here. I try to pay my respects when I can. You don't want to get in trouble with them. Now, let's see. So we got a tree, and a 2. That means that we're gonna have. I'm gonna have to re-roll one of those trees because I don't want to take 2 things from the same place. But just give me a moment. So let me just re-roll the whole thing, so we don't have any doubles. A 4, 5, and a 6. Ruh-roh. 6 is a scary one to get. Give me just a moment now. So we're gonna take away this map. We're gonna bring this one back. Or actually, we'll just make. Okay. So 4, 5, and a 6. Let's see. So that's going to be. A sprawling place, a lonely place, and a desolate place. Ruh-roh. So, that's going to be sprawling. lonely, and desolate. Now, why is something like this on just outside of home and the Moghaven? That's a little bit unnerving. Now let's see. Let's roll these again. Up. Let's see. A 2, a 5, and a tree. Alright, so for our sprawling place den. Oh! Interesting. Very, very interesting. The place that we rolled was a palace. This is going to be interesting. A 2, a 5, and a tree, was it? So our lonely place, then, is going to be a graveyard. Ooh! And we haven't even gotten to our desolate place yet, and the desolate places tend to be the scariest. A tree. Ah. A maelstrom. This is going to be very interesting. This is going to be very interesting indeed. Let me... just a moment. Sorry, just 2 seconds. I'm having a touch of tech difficulty with my thing. Give me just a moment. And I'm back! Sorry. My VTube boy was a little bit laggy for a moment. Had to fix that. Now. Oh. Have I attracted a spam bot? Ah, this is my first spam bot. Can I get a pog in the chat? Some pogs, perhaps? Flood this screen with pogs! No! While I try to figure out how we're going to make something out of this. This is an interesting place that we're about to craft. So, let's start with the palace. So, a palace is a place ruled by power. It is beautiful, yet empty. So, this place can always describe the stunning splendor of the world, show the aftermath of a conflict between its two rulers, and ask, what here makes you feel small? And we can choose 2 aesthetic elements. Many colorful flags, resounding trumpets, a crystal crown, a gleaming throne, the young and royal heir dreaming of freedom, or something else, and 1 piece of folklore. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting place, because we can see that we've also rolled Graveyard and Maelstrom. So, this palace, I have a feeling it's gonna be a ruin. Because it doesn't have to be literal, it doesn't have to be an actual graveyard. This may have been a site of the war, actually. So I'm just going to I'm going to draw the ruins of a sprawling palace. One that has clearly been kind of screwed over by nature and time. Um, I think this was a place where the war was fought. And this place is now desolate. So, it definitely has glorious halls. It's just that the glorious halls happen to be in ruin. And many colorful flags. I think these flags are around it are not royal flags. I think these are rebel flags that stayed up even years later following the cataclysm of the rebellion. This is a very crowded, like, this. What I've drawn here is not a very good architectural palace. This is a ruin. And I think the folklore I'm going to choose here is the Throne of Crystal and its many lies. Throne of Crystals and many lies. Okay, next we're going to look at a graveyard. A graveyard is a place of death where the lost are buried. So this place can always describe the weight of the past, show someone disrespecting the history of this place, and ask, will you tell a story no one else could tell? So choose two aesthetic elements. I think, okay. I'm going to say deep and profound silence. This place is... it's very quiet. And something else I'm not going to tell you all about yet. And then choose one folklore about this place. It says, the day the dead danced with us. And I think I'm going to take a very interesting take with that. Okay. And lastly, we are going to go to the Maelstrom. And this is going to be interesting because I have said this place is very quiet. A maelstrom is a great and chaotic storm, full of winds and terrifying forces. So we can always describe the storm that threatens us, smash something against our rocks, or rip something away from them. So two aesthetic elements. I think there's churning skies. Like the clouds around this place are always very they're always dark and always gloomy. And I think there's a lot of wasps. Screeching wasps. That is the only noise other than like in this place. It's wasps. And choose one folklore about this place. The queen who ripped a hole in the world. That's what we'll go with. And we need a name for this place now. This chaotic battlefield from the rebellion. I'll put that down on the map. Oh, wrong one. Alright, what are we thinking of calling this place? Hmm. I think the suffix of Holt would be nice. I think Stormholt. Is that something? Stormholt? That thing that's already been done. I feel that's something that's been done. Let me take a look and see if there's anything. Let me see if Stormholt is anything. It's something in the Elder Scrolls, kind of, but not enough for me to care. Now, this is going to be Stormholt. Alright. And we can hop now to... Oopsie. Back to Nolog and Patter. So, as they are kind of going, Blue Meadow is slowly coming to an end. And Nolog and Patter have, to an extent, a sort of camaraderie now. They're both quiet, but for different reasons. Although Patter is noticeably more perky these days. Nolog, meanwhile, is still as cranky as ever. And I think that as they start approaching their destination, he is beginning to look more and more cranky. And I don't think cranky like in an angry way. I think cranky in a in a somber way. Like he doesn't like what's coming. And I think Patter has noticed it. So as they're walking and the grass on the hills begins to get more lifeless. I really do believe it's lifeless, the place that they're in. As they begin to walk through it more, I think Patter sees Stormholt. Not that he understands it. How could a child understand it? How could a child understand things that happened in... But he understands enough. He understands. He looks to Nolog and says, "That castle, Host Badger, is this the reason that you've been so grumpy?" I think Nolog just doesn't reply. Keeps walking. And he kind of he kind of sends Patter a side eye and says, "You're to ask no questions in this place. Not yours to know about. You best keep walking." I think Patter makes a face at that. What do you mean it's not my place? Ghost Badger, I'm like nearly grown up. I'm 12. I'm almost 13. And Nolog kind of like exhales a little bit and says, 13 is far too young to be known about Stormholt. Patter kind of pouts. And he kind of is quiet and says, "What's that noise? There's like a noise. Why are we going to this place if you don't like it?" Nolog again just kind of bitterly glances at Patter and says, "Because it's the fastest way to get where we need to go." It's up on a hill. This far away from everything else. We could just keep walking around it, couldn't we? And Nola stops, I think, in his place. And kneels and puts a hand on Patter's shoulder and says, "It's the fastest way to get where we need to go. Spiritually. I can't... You wouldn't understand. You're just a lad. I can't go any further if I don't stop here. If I don't stop here first." And obviously Patter kind of makes a face at Nollug. A face that says, "What the hell are you talking about?" But Nollug kind of just gets up and he just keeps walking a little bit. And Z looks over their shoulder and says, "You stay here now. Walk no further. You understand me?" And Z goes up to the castle. Patter kind of sits there and sulks for a moment. And 5 minutes pass. 10 minutes pass. And I think by the 15th minute passing, Patter kind of looks up and puffs out his cheeks and says, "For God's sake, where is that old man?" And I think he gets up, indeed, and he starts, he makes his way closer to Stormhold. The droning of the wasps gets louder, but he can never really see them. It's just that he can hear them. Every once in a while, he'll feel like a flicker over his fur. Like something just flew past him. And the sky above churns, and every once in a while it thunders. Which is strange, because it's not raining. It's like this place is just miserable. No? I think he starts looking around. And he kind of makes his way. And he sees the flags flying over like the rubbled ruins here. Sees the signs of fighting. Blood that is decades dried. Never cleaned up. And kind of makes his way inside as he starts exploring. And he kind of is in awe of how big this place is. When you're but a child, everything seems big to you, surely, but how could somewhere as large as this exist so close to where he started? And why won't Nollug tell him anything about it? He's a strong boy. He knows this. His mammy and daddy died in that fire a few. And by all rights, he should be still very hurt about it. And by all rights, he should be hurt by this grumpy old badger who won't tell him anything. Treats him like he's just a child. So he kind of wanders through the rubbled halls. Kind of listens, hoping that he'll hear Nollug talking and find out what he's here for. And there is nothing. There is nothing. And that kind of freaks Patter out a little bit. Because, yes, he's alone. And yes, he's been alone. But this is the most alone he has been, full stop. Because after Mammy and Daddy passed on, there was Kieran the mole. The post mole. And then very soon after Kieran, there was Nollug here. And he thought Nollug liked him. But why would he make him wait outside? that was the case. Now he can't see Nollug and he can't hear Nollug, and for just a moment, he's worried that he won't ever see Nollug again. That this place is going to take him somehow, or take Nollug somehow. And that makes his fur kind of stand up on end. And he calls out to Nollug, hoping that Zil hear him. And there's nothing. His ears kind of drop and his eyes kind of widen. And he starts kind of like speed walking, calling out, looking into every room of this ruined place where the ashes of a long over war smeared the walls. When finally he hears Nollug. And Nollug is talking. And he's kind of like mumbling a little bit. And I think Patter pauses now to listen in as Nollug is speaking. And he listens and he hears, "I'm sorry, Nora Jane. I really am. I thought I'd always be able to protect you. That somehow, just because I was strong, I could protect everyone. But I couldn't. I messed up, Nora Jane. I did. And because of that I messed up, that I'm not going to be able to look Dahi in the eye when I see him. The reason that I'm not going to ever be able to deliver my letter. The reason I went to stay in home instead of going back to my own home. Because how would I be able to after what happened here? Didn't even matter in the long run, did it? We're not what toppled the monarchy. And our ideals, Dahi's ideals, are still just that. Ideals. For God's sake, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The fact that I'm here, the fact that I'm bringing the young one, means like us actually be intending on doing it, on delivering the letter. What's the point in doing that now? 60 years. It's all just a game. I'll just deliver the boy to Dahi and I won't speak and just like handing over a parcel. And I think Patter is listening to all this. I think he kind of like steps up and begins to back away a little bit when he accidentally like trips on some loose some loose stone and goes up and like just falls onto his butt, and Nollug immediately like shoots up and turns around and pulls like his cane up into the air reflexively like it's a sword. And I think Patter almost like raises his hands a little bit like shocked and surprised, like, "No, Jesus, no! No, like, it's me! And Nolig, holding that cane, kind of like lowers it. Oh, for God's sake, boy, did I not tell you to stay outside? Is there nothing between those ears? I gave you direct instructions, and you were to follow them. And Pater kind of like growls like this. I'm sorry you were gone for so long. And Nolig exhales and says, this is why I never had children. Unruly little blighters, aren't you? I said what I had to say. Shall we move? And Pater kind of like looks around a little bit nervously before shakily taking Nolig's hand. And the two start to like walk out of this castle. And Pater glances up at Nolig and says, Nolig, who's Dahi? And Nolig kind of like tenses up a little bit. And his eyes kind of like drop to the floor. And he then turns back to Pater and says, Dahi is your grandfather. And he was one of my best friends. He was my captain during the revolution. And Pater's eyes kind of widen and says, my grandfather fought in the revolution? You fought in the revolution? And Nolig kind of lets out like a tired laugh and says, yes. I'm surprised that your parents never told you. And Pater kind of looks around and says, so, is he still out there doing rebel stuff? And Nolig exhales and says, boy, what do you know about this? About the revolution, the war, the monarchy? And Pater kind of shakes his head a little bit and says, not much. Mommy and Daddy never really talked about it. And Nolig kind of lets out a dry laugh and is like, probably for the best. Years ago, there was a wicked queen. Morigna, that was her name. She was not a great woman. She worked with the old gods. Gods of the seas and the forests. Powerful ones. Ones that she adopted as official religions of the Haid. Official religions she adopted because they, in their turn, swore their fealty to her. Any forest, any sea, any land would be ruled not by the gods, but by her. Pater's eyes kind of widen and says, that's horrible. Indeed horrible. And so too taught many other people. Myself included. Your grandfather included. We fought. The war was not a pretty one. Many thought that by fighting the monarchy, we were fighting against our own gods. He thought that the gods had lost all right to rule because... I still don't know to myself these days. Over time, many of the gods, because of their fealty to her, lost their powers and slowly became less like us animal folk and more like the insects that we herd and cultivate. This place, Stormhold. This was Queen Morigna's bastion, as it were. She had such terrible magic. Wicked powers, all granted to her by the gods that she enslaved. Or who enslaved themselves to her. And it was here that she summoned Slobbering God. And Patter kind of like tilts his head like, the Slobbering God? Aye. Horrible creatures. Massive and bulking with many legs and many more mouths and stomachs. Mandibles and the wings of a wasp. She would eat and consume all those in her path. She broke a hole in the worlds here. And it's here that I myself and Dahi and many others took a stand against her. The Slobbering Goddard herself was actually killed by some heroic child with a sword far off from here. We had nothing to do with it. We simply fought against her forces, and it was terrible. Would that the lands saw no more conflict like this, it would be fantastic. And I think Nolig is kind of like toying now with that orchid branch, kind of like absent-mindedly. I don't think he notices, but Patter notices. Patter says nothing. Your grandfather, Dahi. We won that fight. And we bested the queen. That fight is now known as the day that the dead danced with us because of the amount of poor souls who were lost in the conflict. Horrible. Really was horrible. And I think Patter kind of like tilts his head a little bit and says, "Like, who's Nora Jane?" And Nolig kind of like sends him like a very serious look of, should not be prying into the private affairs of others. And I think Patter kind of like recoils a little bit, like a little guiltily, for Nolig exhales and says, Nora Jane was my sister. One of the greatest soldiers I ever saw. I swore I would protect her. Broke my promise. For that reason, Dahi, when we won that fight and we thought things would be alright, realized that it wasn't just a queen who was the problem here. Ultimately, while we made the world much better, there were still old people who craved the violence and glory of days like that. He's still out there, Dahi. He's one of them. He thinks that perhaps maybe fighting in glory is the way forward. We get rid of all the ones who want to use the power of violence and bloodshed for evil. Then one day we won't ever have to do it again. After I lost my Jane, I couldn't. I went to a local town. I stayed there instead of ever returning home. Made my home in home. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be putting all this on a young man like yourself. It's not fair. And Patter kind of shakes his head and says, no, it's... Thank you for telling me, Post Badger. And I think Nulg kind of rolls out. For God's sake, young man, we've been traveling together for nearly a month now, and you're still calling me Post Badger. Call me Nulg. Patter kind of nods a little bit and says, okay. Thank you, Nulg. And I think Nulg kind of like looks out over the hill as they start leaving Stormholt and says, I reckon the month of Blue Meadow is ending. It's hard to believe we've been at this for almost a month now. Patter nods says, obviously stuff is scary, but I'm glad I'm able to go on this journey with you. God's sake, not Mister! Just Nulg. I'm not even a man. Just because I've got a deep voice and an imposing frame doesn't make me a man. Why, you don't call me Mrs., do you? And, Patter kind of, like, laughs a little embarrassed and says, sorry, Nulg. And Nulg kind of looks and says, we best get going. I don't want to be sleeping anywhere near this place. Are you ready, young man? Patter nods and says, yeah. Yeah, I am. Thank you, Nulg. And so, the two of them continue their journey through the Haid, not knowing where they shall be headed next, but knowing that the journey shall be worth it. And I think that is a wonderful place for us to leave it off now. How was that, everyone? Did you all like that? I certainly had a lot of fun. Here, one second, let me get my tea. Thank you. I don't think this is the last we've ever seen of Patter and Nulg. In fact, because I do need to stream more than once ever, I'd say that we could probably keep going through all the months and see what Nulg and Patter see on their year on the road together. I'm sure it'll be a lot. Nulg didn't really deliver any of their letters this time, but again, I'm pretty sure that if Z keeps going, they'll get to a town, and Z'll be able to actually get to delivering letters. Maybe even picking up some letters, who knows? Such is the life of a Post Badger. Thank you all so much for coming on down. The fact that I was able to get so many people out for my debut is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. If you liked this, be sure to come back next week. We will be continuing the story of Patter and of Nulg. I'd say every Thursday. And I think... I'll see what day I'll figure out, but I think I'd like to do art streams where I continue doing art of the places we've been. I might draw Stormholt. I might draw the Moorhaven. And yes, to answer that question, there will be VODs saved for this. I will probably be uploading these to a YouTube channel. Might edit out the chatter in the middle, but sure, you know. It really meant a lot to me that all of you came down. And it really meant a lot to me that you were all able to join in this journey with me. So we'll call it there. Thank you all so much, everyone. Make sure to check out, I am involved as well in a podcast. I don't do any of the acting, but I do a lot of the inspiration for the host of it. Wink, wink. Dice Will Roll, a Pathfinder 2e podcast. Very queer. I'm sure a lot of you already know of it. So if you liked how my story went today, and you aren't listening to that, you can find that in the credits section. There's a link in the banner. So we'll see each other very soon. Probably before the next episode. I might do some more art sometime over the week. I'll try to make a schedule at some point. But thank you all so much for coming down. That was great crack. And we'll see each other very soon. Long good tumble, Macarja. Goodbye for now, my friends. See yous!